everyone, this is Carla from Imagine That with Carla, and today we're going to be doing a project where I've taken a thrifted frame and a canvas picture that I purchased from Temu, and we're going to put it together to make a beautiful vintage bunny picture. So we're going to be using some Dixiebelle products, some IOD molds, and I can't wait to get started. So here's the frame that I thrifted from an estate sale, and it's just the right size for the canvas that I bought. Came with the glass, came with the picture, and the picture's not that bad actually. Came with a little corrugated pad, and then the back of it has a stand on it, but I'll be removing that stand. Now, the canvas that I got from Temu, it's a little bit larger, but I'm just thankful that this frame will hold this picture and you get most of the picture in it. Most of the canvases that you get from Temu, they're a different size that you just can't go out and buy a frame to match it. So anyway, we're going to get started by wiping this off, getting it clean, and then I'm going to be using the IOD mold called Virides or something like that. And we're going to add some leaves around the corners, and then we'll be using another mold to add some different castings to the sides. Now, I usually use rubber gloves when I do this, because when I'm working with the clay, I just don't like it to get all caked up on my fingers. I feel like it gets really messy. So what we're going to do first, we're going to take some cornstarch. I keep some in a little container. I keep all my things I do my molds with in a little baggie, so when I'm ready to do molds, I have it all right there. My brushes for the cornstarch, my brushes for my glue, and all my clays that I'll be using, I have them right there. So after we dust that good, that helps release the clay from the mold. We're going to start tapping it in. Now I'm going to do that, and we're going to put that on all four corners, and then we're going to move to the mold from IOD called Dainty Flourishes, and with that we'll be adding some different castings to the sides of our project. And then the final little mold that we'll be casting will be from Felicity, and it will be a little ornate decorative flourish that will go at the very top. So now I'm going to be using the paint collard greens from Dixiebelle, and I'm going to paint around all the frame, and it really covers well. I do really like Dixiebelle paint, so we're going to get that painted with all those castings. So I have gone over this, and I think I pretty well hit all the little white spots, and then I wanted to try some milk paint. Now I'm going to tell you, I have not worked with milk paint that much, and when it first came out, I was watching people use it, and it seemed like it just really flaked off a whole bunch. And so I'm thinking I'm going to use this, and this color was the only other green I had. It's called Dill Pickle, Sweet Pickens. And following the directions, you use the same amount of the milk paint and then add the same amount of water and mix it up. So I mixed it up. I'm adding my water. And as I'm mixing it, I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, this is really bright green, but I'm also thinking, from what I've seen, it really flakes off. So I went ahead and painted the whole thing with this bright green, and I didn't get any crackle. So it was not coming off. And so then the second thing I did was I got some truffle Sweet Pickens milk paint. I had some of that, and so I added equal amounts of that with equal amounts of water. And then I thought, okay, now maybe this will crackle off. And, I could see some of that green under there, although I really loved the collard greens. That was kind of the color I thought went best with my picture. But anyway, we're going to try to put this on there, see what happens. Hopefully we can get a little crackle out of this, and be able to, kind of make that bright green disappear a little bit. So I still wasn't getting the crackle that I had hoped for, and I was using my heat gun on it. So I decided to kind of splotch it up with these Dixiebelle paints, and there's one by Fusion on there. So I've got collard greens, chocolates, bayberry, and sandbar, and I think the Fusion paint is Everett. So now I'm going to start dabbing this on all over. And I'm not sure why I'm doing this, but I just thought, I don't know, maybe this will make the crackle show up more on the light colors. And then, maybe if I put another coat of milk paint on after this, I can get some crackle or flaking off to get some more colors to come through. So that's what we're going after with all these different colors. So here we are after I've kind of dabbed it on, and that doesn't look too bad, but you know, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna try some salt wash. Dixiebelle's, I think it's called salt spray, it's sea spray. So I'm gonna mix up some salt wash with all these colors here, and we're going to put some texture onto this frame. So bear with me. Excuse me, and we'll see how this turns out. We're gonna have to add some more paint, so I'm going with this sandbar. We're gonna add some of that. And we're gonna mix that up. And let's see. I haven't put the salt wash in there yet. I want to get some paint going before we add our salt wash in there. Now, I don't know why, but I just thought, you know, maybe this will give it a little gold tone. So I think this, I'm not real sure what this is called. It's by Fusion. It might be clay something, clay fire clay. And so we're gonna add a little drop of that. And then we're gonna add some more water because the sea spray is pretty thick when it gets in there. It's a thickening agent, and I really like using that. I have used baking soda before and it works okay. But since I have the sea spray, I'm gonna use that. Now we're putting in more collard greens, which is a really pretty dark green. I really like that color. Mix that up. And I had a little spill there. We'll get that wiped up. I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to add my sea salt because I want to get it, you know, quite a bit of paint there. Oh, let's see. Now let's try some brown. A little bit of brown there. Should have got a dry stick to add that with, but I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to mix that up. That's looking pretty good. Now we're going to add the sea spray, the sea salt. If you've ever tried trying to mix your sea salt up with your brush, like I have, that's why I'm using a stick, because it really gets gummy on your brush. So I'm going to add this. I'm probably going to need to add a little more water to get this a little bit more of a liquid consistency. This is a little bit thick, so I'm thinking I probably need to add, we're gonna go for more collard green probably, yeah. Okay, let's put that in. And get that mixed up. I do think this is going to give me the texture that I want. And when I'm looking at this, I know you can't see it up close, but I do see just a little bit of crackling in there. And that's good. I got a little bit out of it. So we're going to mix a little bit of water. And that's getting about where I want it, I think. A little more lumps out. All right, let's take the brush. I'm going to start dabbing this on, painting it on, trying to get some of that texture to go where we want it. And as I'm dabbing it on, I will be taking some more, you know, kind of blobby parts and putting in some of those crevices to make it, you know, kind of cover up where it separates from the frame. So let's just continue doing this until we get this covered. So I got all that on. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add some more of the colored green to this, and I'm thinking I want to dab on some darker of the spray wash so I can, or sea spray rather, so I can get some contrast going. So we add a little bit more, and I'm going to mix that up a little more, and then we're going to just kind of dab that on here and there, kind of get a little more gloppy places, I guess, and give it a little more contrast. So here it is, and I completed it, so I'm putting the picture back up there to see if that's really what I want. And I'm thinking, okay, here we go again. Now, before I decided to go ahead and put another coat of truffle milk paint on here, I did a little research, and it said for more crackling, to mix it a little bit thicker, use your heat gun, and then you may even want to dab it with a damp cloth. So I'm not adding as much water to this, and I'm going to mix that up. I'm going to make it a little thicker, And then I'm going to add it on because I think this would be beautiful if we got that to kind of flake and let some of this come through. I think that would be really, really pretty. So I'm going to mix this up and we're going to try to apply those ideas that I learned from researching a little bit, and we'll see how this turns out. So there, I put some on, and I'm using my embossing tool, and it gets very, very hot. And so I'm looking at it, and I can see a little bit of crackling. It isn't a lot, so I'm going to take my damp cloth and kind of hit on some of those places that look like it might be trying to crackle and get it a little bit damp, and put my heat gun on there again and see if that can get that to crackle up a little bit more. I'm going to use this process and go all the way around the frame, and I'm also going to use my damp cloth to kind of wipe off some of it after, if it didn't crackle up the way I wanted it to. I'll just wipe off some of that milk paint so we can get those beautiful colors that are on there to come through. So basically I'm going to follow this process all the way around the frame, and then we'll see how it turns out. So now I've got it pretty well covered all the way around, and as you can see, there is a little bit of crackle, and I'm liking that. And I'm liking that so much that I'm going to go around now and take off some of the heavier parts so I can let some of that green come through. And there's going to be one more step. Okay. Don't worry, I'm not putting another coat of paint on there, but after I get this wiped down the way I want it to where I can kind of see some of that green come through, we're going to take some, it's the milk paint dark oil, and put on there, or Sweet Pickens, not milk paint, I'm sorry, the brand is Sweet Pickens. And we're going to add some dark oil to this. So I'm going over this again with my heat gun. And this is really quite involved process. In fact, this has been like a 4 or 5 day project because I've been letting the paint dry before I put on another coat. Sometimes it's overnight, or sometimes I do it in the morning and then put the other coat on at night to let it dry overnight. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to make sure this is good and dry. And we're going to get out the dark oil. As I said, it comes from Sweet Pickens, and you will be amazed at what this does to this project. It just really, really brings it to life. But now I'm going to make sure I go around all the edges and get those covered well. And when everything dries, we're going to add the dark oil. So here we have our dark oil, and this is a sample size, and I really like it. So if I use it a lot, I'll probably be ordering the larger size. So I'm just going to take this. There's my pokey tool. I don't know if you've noticed I use that a lot. I made those, but anyway, we're going to pour this dark oil into a little separate container. And I'm just going to use a brush, and I'm going to designate this brush for dark oil. So after I clean it, I'm going to clean it with mineral oil, and then I'm going to keep that in a place where I keep the dark oil to know that that's what that brush is for. And as you can see, I'm just kind of lightly putting this on here, darker in some of the deeper places. And then we're going to take a wet wipe, and we're just going to go over that, and look at that. And it gets down in there, and you can really see the texture, and you can really see some of the crackle with this on there. And I just think it, like I said, it just makes it come to life. And even though there were probably maybe a couple at least layers of paint I could have avoided, this was a learning process for me. So now I know, and I'm going to keep probably working with milk paint, maybe on smaller projects, so I can, kind of figure out how the best way is to make it crackle. Here I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and you can see the crackle in there and the texture that salt spray has given it. So cool. Just loving this. All right, we're going to finish putting this on and then move on to the next step. So I think this turned out beautiful. Now let's get the picture in it. This is the frame, this is the glass. We're going to remove, put that in later. I did take the back stand off of this, and then I took the corrugated piece and measured it to the picture so I would know how it could be. You know, it would have been much simpler if I just laid the glass on top of that and traced around it, but I didn't think of that till after I was already finished. So what I did was I took the frame and laid it on top of the picture and tried to use a pencil to go around it. And if it's kind of choppy on this part, when I was doing that, my head kept getting in the way, so I cut that out and knew you didn't want to see the back of my head. So this is going to be a little bit choppy. So let's go through now and see how we're going to put this little guy in the frame. So here I'm simply going to take my scissors and trim the excess off. As you can see, as I said, I got quite a bit of this picture to go in the frame. And as I said earlier in the video, these canvases from Temu, they have some beautiful canvases, but you can't always just go out and buy a frame that's the right size for the canvas. So when I go to estate sales, their frames are usually pretty well priced, and at my estate sales, everything's 50% off on the last day, and they usually have so many frames that there's quite a few to choose from. So I've been trying to kind of measure before I go to know what sizes I'm looking for, and this one just turned out perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better non-standard size frame to fit this canvas, so I was really pleased to find that. So now we see where that's fitting. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my double-sided tape, and I ordered my double-sided tape off of Amazon. It's 6 inches wide, and I've had this a long time. I used to use it when I was making journals, and I just love it, but it is very sticky. So once it sticks, it's pretty much stuck. Now, with the canvas, it would be a lot easier to take off since it's not paper. But once it sticks on paper, you can almost bet you're going to be tearing some of the paper. So let's go ahead and get this measured out, and let's get the canvas stuck to this backing. Sorry, the glare from my ring light there. And now we're ready to put it in the frame. And I knew I would be painting the back of the frame, even though this will not be showing because I will be covering it with a heavy duty, it's kind of like butcher paper, but it's more of a builder's grade paper. And I found mine at Home Depot. I have the butcher paper, but it just does not hold up like this paper does. So we're going to give this a quick coat of the collard green just to cover up the back of this frame. Now, if you look closely at that frame, you can probably count all the colors that I put on the front of it that basically got covered up for the most part. But anyway, like I said, this has been a learning process for me, trying to figure out just, how I wanted all of that to look with the crackles and the textures and the different colors. So I'm very pleased. It was time consuming, but I'm very pleased. And if you're still with me, I want to say thank you. This is like going to be either my first or second video. I think it's my second one, and I'm launching this new channel. So I appreciate you watching and sticking with it. And if you like it, and maybe next time it won't be so long. If you liked it, though, I would appreciate it very much if you could hit the like button and please subscribe. As I said, this is my second channel, and I'm starting over on this channel, so I would like to see it grow. And I hope I'll be able to put more projects out that you will enjoy watching. So now we have this done. I'm gonna have to let that dry, which we did. Now we're gonna come back, and I think we're going to add the glass. And again, I apologize for that ring light overhead. And then we're going to add the picture itself that's attached to the backing. And I went ahead, and I think my head got in there for some reason, and I jumped ahead. And when you see it again, it's going to have that heavy-duty butcher paper on the back, or builder's grade. I'm not sure what you actually call it. But I think it turned out so well. I think it blends so well with the picture. I just love it. So, yeah, let's turn it over now and see how we did the back. Okay, so there it is like that, and here it is with the butcher paper that you can kind of see on the left. And the way I attached that, I have some inch size double-sided tape, but it was in another cabinet and I didn't want to get up to get it, so I just used 2 rows of the 1/2 inch around the edges, on the sides and the top and the bottom. And then I took some and went down the center and on the sides of the center in the middle, and that will hold that on. I used to use double-sided tape many times in my craft fair items, and they never came apart, never had problems with things coming off. Now we need to add the hanger to the back, and I always try to put something padded underneath the frame so I don't risk cracking the moldings that we put on there, or the glass. That would be terrible. So I'm just going to measure the center, and we're going to mark that. And after we get that marked, I'm going to take my little sawtooth hanger. Now, you got to watch this. This was your worst nightmare when I opened it. Look what happens when I open this package. They just all catapult. There they went. Now, if you can see, I don't know, it's kind of small. There were 2 little nail screws left there. And the other 4 and the other 2 of the sawtooth hangers, they're on the floor somewhere. But you know what? I couldn't believe it. I actually found all 4 of those little screws and the little sawtooth hangers. So we're good. I like to mark each little hole with a pencil. And then I'm going to get my tweezers. I found these are the best thing for holding these little bitty nail screws to put up there. But before I even do that, I'm going to take my pokey tool And I'm going to go ahead and make 2 little indentations there. So when I hold this up there, it has something to kind of fall into while I'm trying to hammer. So we're gonna line that up. And I'm gonna put that little screw there and take my little hammer that I also got at an estate sale. And we're going to carefully try to place that where that little indentation is. And we're going to go ahead, get that started and hammer in. Get that in there pretty good. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Make sure I've got my little indentation there. And I'm going to take my little screw, little nail screw, and we're going to also anchor that in and tap that in. And I did get off once, which I occasionally do, and kind of flattens it on one side, but I just use the little wedge side on my hammer and just kind of prop that up. And it's on there pretty solid, and I think it looks pretty good. And as we turn it over, you can see here it is. And I'm going to put that in my booth, and I'm going to put $45 on that. Well, we made it through it, right? And I think I will have to look at the end of the video and at the final project and say, imagine that. After all we went through trying to achieve a look that I was going for, to get some texture, to get some variation in the colors. We went through some milk paints, some salt washes, and in the end, I think it turned out just beautiful. Leave your comments below, and if you would like to support my channel, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button, subscribe, share button, and the notification button. And again, leave me comments below, and I will try to read each and every one of them. So until next time, bye-bye.